So what stops you from starting? What stops you from starting your passion project or an idea you've had that you've sought to bring to fruition, an idea that you sought to make happen? It's not a lack of resources. It's not a lack of time. Usually it's the gap between the project or the sanctuary you imagine building and the materials you actually have in your hands. I'm Rabbi Lior Sinai, and this is episode 15 at the Anchors of Hope, where we're going to explore how Jewish wisdom teaches us to transform longing into action and waiting into building. Today we're going to talk about a revolutionary idea that is found in this week's Torah portion, and the verse goes like this: Ve'asu li mikdash v'shachanti betocham, and they shall make me a sanctuary, and I will dwell among them. But we're reading it through a lens that changes everything. The understanding that perfect is the enemy of good, and that God or the universe actually knew this 3,000 years before Voltaire made it famous. Let me tell you about what Am Yisrael, Bnei Yisrael, the Israelites, were facing when they received this commandment. They're standing in a desert. They've just escaped slavery. They are traumatized, disorganized, and they're just learning to be a free people. And God says, build me a dwelling place. Now, the perfectionist among us hears this commandment and might freeze. Oh, I need better materials. I need more training. I need clearer blueprints. I need to heal from slavery in Egypt. I need to understand exactly what God or the universe wants from me before I even begin. The perfectionist builds sanctuaries or projects in their mind, elaborate, flawless, magnificent, and never lays a single stone. This is what I call passive optimism disguised as high standards. It says, when conditions are perfect, when I'm fully ready, when I have no doubts, then I'll build something meaningful, something that ought to be successful. It does sound responsible, but it's actually paralyzing. Here's what the text that we read from this week's Torah portion actually describes. Whoever is of willing heart, let them bring. This is in Exodus chapter 35, verse 5. Not whoever is perfectly skilled, not whoever has the finest materials, but kol nediv libo, whoever has a willing heart, whoever has the right intention. Some people brought gold, others brought goat hair, some had artistic skill, others had enthusiasm and a strong back. The sanctuary that emerged in the desert, in the Sinai wilderness, wasn't built by waiting for perfect people with perfect resources or an abundance of it. It was built by imperfected people who had just started to experience freedom, people who started to build this project with what it was that they had. And here's what's awesome. The part that should change how we all think about every meaningful project in our life: God's presence, or the universe, showed up not after it was perfect, but because Bnei Yisrael, Am Yisrael, the people of Israel, were actually building it. If you look closely at the Hebrew, V'shachanti betocham, I will dwell among them, not betocho, not I will dwell within it, referring to the building, the sanctuary, but betocham, among them, referring to the people. I will dwell among them, the people. This single grammatical choice contains a theology of action. The divine presence in our world doesn't dwell in perfect structures. It dwells among people engaged in the sacred work of building, of making things happen, even when their hands aren't certain. Even when it is not clear how they are going to succeed. But it dwells when their intention is real. The Talmud, the Gemara, teaches us, mitoch shelo lishma, ba lishma. From actions done with imperfect intention comes perfect intention. We start imperfectly. We begin with mixed motives. We have an idea. We build with what we have. The holiness, the completion, the wholeness emerges in the building of it, not after it. This is active hope. Not waiting for the perfect conditions, but creating a sacred space with available resources and with willing hearts. The rabbinic tradition asks, why does the Torah spend so many chapters on detailed instructions for the Mishkan, for the sanctuary? One answer is because God is teaching us that the process of building, the measuring, the planning, the communal effort, the problem solving is itself where the divine dwells. You don't have to wait to be healed. You don't have to wait to have everything you need before you build. You start somewhere. You start building. And that process continues. So what does good enough actually mean in the context of building sanctuaries, of making ideas happen? Whether that's a meaningful project, a healing community, or a life of purpose. It doesn't mean being careless. It doesn't mean that anything goes. The Mishkan had specifications. They had standards. There was a blueprint. But here's what it does mean. Number one, it means that good enough means starting before you're ready. The Israelites didn't wait until they understood everything. They began while they continued to learn. Learn what it means to be free. Learn what it means to build. Learn what it means to make things happen and not just wait for them to happen. Number two, good enough means using what you have, your available resources, not what you wish you had. Not everyone had gold, and some brought acacia wood, and some brought skills in weaving, and the sanctuary, well, it incorporated all of it. Number three, good enough means the collective, collaboration, not individual perfection. No single person built the Mishkan, the sanctuary, perfectly. Together, with diverse contributions, together they created something that held God's divine presence among them together. Number four, good enough means revising as you go. The sanctuary was a portable structure designed to be taken apart, to be moved, to be reassembled. It was built for adaptation, not frozen in perfection. And here's the measurable outcome, the metric of hope. When they built with willing hearts, rather than waiting for perfect conditions, we read in the text, the cloud of divine presence filled the sanctuary. God was with them. The presence showed up for good enough, executed, not perfect, imagined. Compare this to modern Israel's innovation metrics. Israel doesn't have perfect conditions. Not perfect security, not perfect resources, not perfect consensus, for sure not. But it has the highest number of startups per capita, nonetheless, globally. Why? Because the culture of values, of starting, of iteration, of improvement, of improving over time, over wait until everything is perfect. That's not recklessness. That's the Mishkan principle, the sanctuary applied to nation building. You create sanctuary, safety, meaning, contribution through building, not through waiting. So let me ask you directly, to you all out there, what sanctuary, what project are you not building or following up on because you're waiting for perfect conditions? Is it a project that would contribute to your community, but you're waiting until you have more expertise? Is it a relationship you're not perhaps repairing because you don't have the perfect words to repair? Is it a creative work you're not starting because you can't envision the finished product clearly enough? Is it your own healing? You're postponing your own healing because you think you need to understand everything first. Here's what the Mishkan teaches us, the building of the sanctuary. V'shachanti betocham, I will dwell among them. God, the universe, doesn't wait for your perfection. The divine presence dwells in our willing hearted, in our intention for building, for doing, for realizing our dreams. In your good enough start, in your imperfect materials offered with sincere intention. The perfect sanctuary exists only in your imagination, and imagination creates nothing the world can touch. The good enough sanctuary exists in reality, and reality is where God exists. That's where God dwells. So this is the practical framework. This week, identify sanctuary. Identify one project that you've been refusing to build because you're concerned, you're worried it won't be perfect. Ask yourself, what's the smallest good enough action I can take today? And then take it. Whatever materials you have, whatever your imperfect skills, so long as you have your willing heart. Because here's the truth, the perfectionist never learns. The divine presence, God's presence, the universe doesn't show up after you finish building perfectly. It shows up among us, among the people who are building together, imperfectly now. Ve'asuli mikdash v'shachanti betocham. Make me a sanctuary, not a perfect one, just one with willing hearts, and I will dwell among you. Not within the flawless structure that you imagine, but among the imperfect people actually building it. This is your anchor. You don't need perfect conditions to create sacred space. You need willing hands and the courage to start with what you have. The sanctuary that holds God's presence isn't the one you'll build someday when everything is ready, when everything is perfect. It's the one you're building today, now, imperfectly, together. Build it. And remember, good enough is good enough for God, for the universe, for potential to reveal itself. Thank you all for joining me on this episode 15. My name is Rabbi Lior Sinai, coming at you from Israel, sending you all love and light. And once again, thank you for anchoring hope with me today. Till next time.